Tucker Carlson faces accusations of anti-Semitism over the Charlie Kirk eulogy. Tyrone Bowman live. Let's talk about it on tonight. Exactly what did Tucker Carlson say or allude to during that moment and during that time? I found this article written for The Hill. And this is where this news story comes from. It was written by Dominic Mastrangelo. Quote, conservative pundit Tucker Carlson is facing blowback for comments he made while eulogizing Charlie Kirk on Sunday at a service for the activist who was assassinated earlier this month. They're calling Charlie Kirk an activist now. He's no longer being called a MAGA influencer, but he's being called an activist. Okay, that's fine with me. So let's get down to the essence of this story. Noting he considered Kirk to be a, quote, Christian evangelist, end quote. Carlson said the killing reminded him of the death of Jesus Christ as told through the Bible. Quote, Jesus shows up and he starts talking about the people in power, and he starts doing the worst thing you can do, which is tell the truth. And they hate it, and they just go bonkers, and they become obsessed with making him stop, end quote. So this is what Tucker Carlson said, whom I've never liked for justifiable reasons. I don't care if he is rich. I don't care if he comes from the Swanson fortune. That stuff matters not to me. You know, Tucker Carlson is one of them. He espouses their ideologies. He espouses their rhetoric. He goes along with any and everything that they say, and the comparison of Charlie Kirk to the Messiah, the Savior. The former Fox host said he can, quote, picture the scene, a lamp-lit room with a bunch of guys sitting around eating hummus, thinking about, what do we do about this guy telling the truth about us? We must make him stop talking, exclamation point, and quote. Who is he referring to? And what is the inference here that Carlson is alluding to? Who is he attacking? He certainly isn't talking about black people. He certainly isn't talking about the MAGA evangelicals who he loves, worships, and adores. He certainly isn't talking about those who are in the MAGA movement, because that's what it is. Who is Tucker Carlson? Well, who was Tucker Carlson talking about, and who was he alluding to? The pundit's comments were met with blowback from some on social media, and the press accused him of suggesting Kirk was assassinated for expressing views that were critical of Israel. So that's who Tucker Carlson was alluding to. So he was talking about the Jewish people in a very snide way by comparing the late Charlie Kirk to Jesus Christ. And in the world of Christendom, the Messiah is their God. Quote, Carlson's depiction of leaders in ancient Jerusalem plotting to kill Jesus paired with his belief that unmanned people in charge decided Kirk had to die because his Christian mission interfered with their agenda echoed the anti-Semitic decide charge, quote, close quote. The Anti-Defamation League says in a statement on social media, I've told you all before, and I'm going to tell you again, the Anti-Defamation League will be all over y'all behinds when you start talking about them. And I'm going to have a lot to say about a lot of things in a couple of months. But I'm going to respect this grieving period right now. But we're going to whitewash history. And Tucker Carlson was out of line. Somebody has to say he was out of line. His comments were unjustifiable, non-justifiable, and he had no business alluding to that inference. Tucker Carlson used a memorial for Charlie Kirk, quote, a passionate friend of Israel and the Jewish people, to spread anti-Semitic blood libels, wrote Mark Dubowitz, head of the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, FDD, in a post on the social platform X, quote, I knew his father, Richard Carlson, vice chair at FDD, who strongly supported Jews and Israel. I just can't fathom what happened to Tucker, end quote. Y'all know what happened to Tucker. We're not going, we're not, no, because if this had been anybody else who spewed anti-Semitic remarks, they would be all over their case. And Tucker Carlson knew exactly what he was saying. He knew exactly what he was doing. Quote, after desecrating Charlie Kirk's funeral with his ridiculous insinuation that Jews were behind his assassination, perhaps the Republican Party will finally say goodbye to Tucker Carlson, end quote, wrote the US-based activist group Stop Antisemitism. They're not going to get rid of Tucker Carlson. They're going to keep him right in the Republican Party. Elon Levy, a former spokesperson for the state of Israel, chimed in, writing, quote, complete with a laugh like a cartoon villain, Tucker Carlson uses Charlie Kirk's funeral to spread an anti-Semitic blood libel, close quote. Ladies and gentlemen, wake up. There can be no differentiation. There cannot be any favoritism for one person who spews anti-Semitic remarks and then try to downplay the remarks coming from somebody else. Being anti-Semitic is being anti-Semitic, irregardless of who is using the language in a derogatory fashion. There can't be a double standard here. Quote, now some are peddling these disgusting rumors, perhaps out of obsession, perhaps with Qatari funding, Netanyahu said in his video. What I do know is this, Charlie Kirk was a great man, and a great man deserves honor, not lies, quote, close quote. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. deserved to be recognized for who he was, not for how they're trying to ruin his reputation after almost 60 some odd years. And with us, Black people, we're not going to have the reputation and the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. being destroyed. Quote, the activist was killed in a shooting allegedly carried out by a man in his 20s. Oh, now it's allegedly. Did he do it or did he not do it? What is going on here? Because they can't pin this on anybody else. They can't blame anyone else. And officials have not given a specific motive in the attack. It doesn't matter what the motive was. If there had been a Black person who committed some heinous crime, deed, all this analyzation wouldn't be going on. They would call him a murderer, a thug, a hoodlum, trash, garbage, case closed. And that would be the end of it, and you know it. Though text messages revealed as part of charging documents against the suspect show him texting a roommate that he had, quote, had enough of his hate, end quote, in regards to Kirk. Tucker Carlson does not get a pass, bottom line. We are in this interview. Well, Anonymous, you might have a point there, but as I said before in other videos, what plausible defense can an attorney raise? You already see how the individual who murdered the CEO of United Healthcare, you see how they dropped the most serious charges against him. Because in that case, what they want to do, they want to make sure that dude walks away. Just because you're rich and powerful, that don't mean that you are absolved from doing wrong. If you do wrong, you do wrong. And if he's the only person that they have in custody and they don't have anybody else, then they're going to have to deal with the ramifications of it. No bail has been set. And we're not going to put this under the rug. We're not going to pretend that they don't have anybody in custody when they do. Because if that was one of us, we would be on the news 24/7. We would be the cycle every day of the week, every second, every moment, every hour, every minute. And especially on some other networks. You know, I have to tell it the way it is. Tucker Carlson does not get a pass. Bottom line. And his comparison of Charlie Kirk to Jesus Christ. What comparison is there? He was not a Messiah. No one is trying to justify or say what happened should have happened. That's not what I'm talking about here. No one has compared to Jesus throughout the centuries in the history of mankind. And you can best believe that the ADL is not finished with Tucker Carlson. No, Tucker Carlson does not get a pass. Bottom line. Because if other groups don't get a pass and other individuals don't get a pass for their anti-Semitic remarks, isn't that what's going on throughout the nation, pulling funding from college campuses and stuff because of anti-Semitism? Or what makes Carlson Tucker any different? All right, ladies and gentlemen, I got a lot of work to do behind the scenes. Thank you all for watching. Never surrender. Never quit.